Saudi Arabia is building a new megacity that is so futuristic it could be straight out of a science fiction movie. In this video, we show you how the city is built and what incredible features it offers. Not only that, but we'll show you other crazy cities and housing concepts that could become a reality. Construction work on the megacity The Line in Saudi Arabia has recently begun. Until now, experts worldwide thought that the city was only a vision that could not be realized, but Saudi Arabia has now proven the opposite. The construction project is to be completed by 2030 and is described by its planners as nothing less than the revolution of civilization. And that doesn't even seem exaggerated when you take a closer look at the line. The line is a single, long, mirrored wall in the middle of the desert that will house an entire metropolis. With a length of 170 kilometers and a width of 200 meters, up to 9 million people will be able to live here entirely self-sufficiently. By comparison, that's how many people currently live in London, but the line takes up just 2% of the area of the English capital. The residents should never have to leave the line. Not only will they be able to live and work here, but the 500-meter high structure will also produce enough food and energy for all residents, and the whole thing will also be sustainable and completely climate neutral. The line is even intended to become a closed biosphere and thus also function as an oasis with a large animal and plant kingdom in the middle of the hot desert. Especially in times of advancing climate change, Saudi Arabia has recognized that it must do something to preserve and create habitats. Therefore, the line is also a showcase for other countries where the hostile desert continues to spread. Also, because of the dwindling oil reserves on which Saudi Arabia has built all its wealth today, the line is a milestone for the country. Because the Megacity not only creates a living space in the hostile desert, but will also bring many new residents and companies and, thus, new money into the country. To attract many foreigners, many of the otherwise quite strict laws in Saudi Arabia, such as the general ban on alcohol or the strict marriage requirements, are to be suspended in the line. But what does it look like inside the line, and what is between the gigantic wall? Along the entire length of the city, hundreds of thousands of apartments, stores, offices, and everything else that you would expect to find in an average town are strung together like a string of pearls. Of course, numerous levels rise from the very bottom up to 500 meters into the air. But if you have the image of an endlessly large, desolate apartment block in your head, you're entirely wrong. There are trees, plants, and green spaces everywhere, ensuring that residents are surrounded by nature at all times with just a few steps. Artificial lakes and parks make you forget that you are in the middle of the Saudi Arabian desert. Incidentally, there will be no car traffic in the megacity. Thanks to many integrated footpaths and a high-speed subway, every inhabitant of the project should be able to get what they want quickly. It should be possible to travel from one end of the 170-kilometer-long city to the other in just 20 minutes. By the way, the future city's construction costs are estimated at least $200 billion, but could also be up to 5 times as high. The entire mega project is to be financed by the royal family of Saudi Arabia and foreign investors. But if you think the line is just a crazy idea for the future, you'll be surprised to learn that construction is already underway. The base of the enormous line is already excavated, and several thousand workers are currently in the middle of the desert to build the probably craziest city in the world. While Saudi Arabia and many people from all over the world are enthusiastic about the line, there are also critical voices. Although construction has already begun, some renowned architects doubt the ambitious vision can be realized as planned. The building is unlikely to fail because similar megalomaniac projects in the Gulf states have often failed due to poor preliminary planning during the construction phase. Many also fear human rights violations during construction, such as during the World Cup in Qatar, because the Arabian desert is a hostile place and construction workers already find it challenging to endure the conditions. In addition, an indigenous tribe lives in the desert in the line construction area and could be evicted or forcibly relocated. Of course, in addition to all this, the fundamental question must be whether people even want to live in a massive wall in the middle of the desert where they can only see the real world behind a glass facade. By the way, the line Megacity is one of many futuristic residential concepts currently being worked on. The pages project is almost as impressive. Under this name, a cruise ship is being built that will top everything that has gone before and offer space for an entire city. But first things first, Italian design studio Lazzarini unveiled a design this year that it has been working on for a full 13 years. The Pangios is a massive cruise ship shaped like a giant floating turtle. And by huge, we mean huge. The ship is to be an incredible 550 meters long and 610 meters wide. By comparison, the well-known Aida cruise ship is just 210 meters long and a modest 28 meters wide. A total of 60,000 people, in other words, an entire city, are to be accommodated here, and passengers will be offered luxury without end in addition to the sheer size and fascinating turtle shape of the ship. While the central area of the Pangaeos will feature various pools, a beach club, and a shopping center. Among other things, the fins of the turtle are each reserved for 19 luxurious villas and 69 apartments. Residents will not only be able to move around the Pangaeos on foot, still, they will also be able to use, for example, their canoes to navigate around a water channel located on the turtle. To give you a better idea of the dimension, the circular indoor area you're looking at has a diameter of almost 190 meters, making it as big as the world-famous Colosseum in Rome. The turtle ship is so big that vehicles are supposed to be used in the floating city to take the inhabitants from A to B. Those who want to take a ride can arrive comfortably by plane or helicopter because the Pangaeos also has appropriate landing strip. Incidentally, the enormous energy requirements of the floating city, which moves through the sea at a turtle's slow speed of just 9 kilometers per hour, are to be met by solar power, which drives several electric motors. Thus, the Pangaeos is not only fascinating but also wholly emission-free. Like the line, the Pangaeos will be built in Saudi Arabia. It is not yet known when this will happen and when the turtle will sail through the oceans. It will take 8 years from construction until the Pangaeos is ready for operation. The construction costs are estimated at 5 to 8 billion US dollars. After this fantastic floating city, which is also highly environmentally friendly, we would like to introduce you to a gigantic hotel that does not rely on renewable energies but is nevertheless absolutely fascinating. The Sky Cruise is not a conventional hotel that stands around, but a gigantic aircraft that can accommodate up to 5,000 guests. By comparison, the Airbus A380, currently the largest passenger aircraft in the world, can only hold 853 guests, and they have to sit in cramped rows of seats during the flight. On the Sky Cruise, on the other hand, no one has to sit in their hearts for hours. The combination of airplanes and cruise ships offers an average hotel's amenities. Plans include several swimming pools where guests can splash around while flying through the clouds, fitness studios to steal the body, and restaurants and cinemas where they can pass the time while traveling thousands of kilometers. There are plans for Sky Cruise to have its shopping mall. The absolute highlight of the flying hotel, however, is its giant glass dome. Passengers can look up into the sky and down to the earth below from viewing platforms. By the way, Sky Cruise is to be operated employing nuclear propulsion, and artificial intelligence on board is to ensure a smooth flight instead of pilots. And it gets even crazier. In fact, the flying hotel is supposed to be able to stay in the air for several years without having to land. This means that wealthy passengers can live above the clouds. However, it is still uncertain when Sky Cruise will take off for the first time. The planners are still looking for investors to realize their gigantic flying hotel. If you like this video about the unusual living concepts of the future, subscribe to Wisefool for more exciting videos. We'll see you in the following video.